There's something extremely relatable about a guy getting fed up with a 9-to-5 job routine and just wishing he could switch into some other, more exciting alternative. Well, that guy is Takeru Kamishiro, and his story is called A Gatherer's Adventure in Isekai. In this show, our MC starts off the day like this.
Another day down.
And before the day is over, the guy's pulling a Merlin and chit-chatting with a gosh dang dragon.
Don't you dare ignore me, trespasser!
Now, that's just the tip of the iceberg, cause this lucky somehow rizzes up a powerful goddess to let him ride her around anywhere he wants.
So I hereby grant you permission to ride upon my back, and I will take you wherever your heart desires.
It's a wonderful life, for like 50% of the time anyway. Let's see how the story actually unfolds. The first episode opens with our guy Takeru dragging himself home from work completely drained and bored out of his mind. He flops down on the couch, turns on the TV, and quietly wishes his life wasn't so painfully unexciting. And because the universe loves its dramatic timing, that's when reality snaps in half, and Takeru gets teleported to another dimension. There, he meets a mysterious, generic, handsome-looking being who straight up introduces himself as a god. We don't know his name at this point, so we'll call him, G-Man. G-Man explains that he manages the entire solar system, but one planet, Medeus, is a total disaster. Every civilization there keeps collapsing because the people can't get their act together. As a last-ditch fix, G-Man decides the best solution is to drop Takeru, a random, exhausted salaryman, onto the planet and see what happens. Naturally, Takeru wants nothing to do with this and asks to go back to Earth. G-Man then casually drops the bombshell that Takeru is already dead, and if he refuses the job, his soul will just fade out of existence. Now, that's a real pickle. Faced with getting stuck in limbo, Takeru agrees to go to Medeus. As a welcome gift, G-Man gives him magic powers, or mana, as it's called. And when Takeru asks for a super cute partner, G-Man says not to worry, she'll show up soon. With that, Takeru gets launched into his new life. We see him wake up on a roadside in Medeus and immediately starts testing out his magic. Using scouting skills, he picks up random items nearby, including a high-ranking item that turns out to be literal monster poop. Nasty work. He heads to the nearest settlement, Tormi Village, where he meets a merchant named Jerome. Shockingly, the monster poop is pretty valuable. Jerome buys it for 5 silver coins, which equals 5,000 rave in this world's currency, and 50,000 yen back on Earth. Kind of a small fortune. Takeru accidentally becomes rich thanks to fantasy feces. Impressed, Jerome offers Takeru a job to collect mithril ore from a nearby mountain. Minor problem though. The mountain is said to be the home of an ancient dragon. Takeru shrugs and accepts anyway. On the mountain, he meets the dragon Voldius, who's intrigued by Takeru's magic instead of instantly eating him. Out of desperation, Voldius asks for help hatching his child's egg, which has stubbornly refused to hatch. Takeru uses his magic. The egg finally cracks open, and a cute little baby dragon comes out, and then immediately decides Takeru is its new favorite person.
Don't lick me! Oh, no biting! Oh, it smells so fishy!
The dragon won't let go of our boy. Voldius, completely fine with this, asks Takeru to name the baby and take it with him on his journey. Under normal conditions, that would be considered child abandonment. Anyway, Takeru names the baby dragon B, walks off with enough mithril ore, and accepts his new role as dragon babysitter. In episode 2, Takeru and B have to make their way through a dangerous forest to head back to Tormi Village. Along the way, way, they run into a hungry elf, and Takeru helps her with water and food. But when she gets too close for comfort, he bluntly points out that she stinks really bad, and Miss Elf can't take that disrespect, so she runs away. Shortly after, Takeru runs into a family traveling to Tormi Village, and he tags along. They get to interact and even have dinner together, which Takeru really appreciates. Back on Earth, it was a pretty mean life where he'd eat alone and watch TV. So yeah, reincarnation is definitely an upgrade. In episode 3, Takeru finally makes it back to Tormi Village and hands the mithril ore over to Jerome. Jerome takes one look and nearly loses his mind, because one of the stones is packed with insane magical power. Between that and the fact that Takeru casually walks in with rare materials like it's no big deal, Jerome realizes this guy isn't just lucky, he's built different. And so, knowing the village can't really support someone like him, Jerome suggests that Takeru head to Balkheim, a proper city where he can join the Adventurers Guild and sell rare items that are above Jerome's pay grade. Takeru agrees, but before leaving, we discover that my boy has already become quite the local celebrity. Since he's somehow become a big deal around town, he leaves the villagers a parting gift, a mithril-powered magic lamp that works to protect the village from monsters. Think of it as a village-wide defense system. He then promises to visit again and sets off. On the road, Takeru runs into some giant killer crabs and absolutely wrecks them with Bee's help. Takeru cooks one for dinner, because why waste good food, and dumps the rest into his item box, a magical inventory that can store basically anything. Eventually, the duo reaches Balkheim and passes through the city gates. The guards barely blink at the baby dragon riding along with him, which either means the city has seen everything or the paperwork department gave up years ago. Inside the city, Takeru finds the Adventurers Guild and registers. He's assigned F rank because everyone starts at the bottom, even overpowered isekai protagonists. The guild does make him tag B as proof of ownership though, which feels weird, but it's fair. With that settled, Takeru is officially an adventurer, free to explore the world, take jobs, and accidentally shake the foundations of this world one quest at a time. By the next episode, Takeru has been chilling in Balkheim for about 2 weeks, keeping a low profile and minding his own business. Well, aside from the fact that he casually uses healing magic to help people without collecting a penny. I'd hate to be a doctor with this guy around. Anyway, one day, an adventurer named Clay, a chill lizard man, pulls him aside and suggests he should really rank up already. With top-notch skills like healing, Takeru could be making serious money and fame. But Takeru immediately shuts that down.
To be honest, I'm more than happy with the way things are.
Higher rank means attention, attention means problems, and Takeru is not about that life. He's perfectly happy being F rank and invisible. Unfortunately, that's about to change, because suddenly the alarms go off. Reports come in about a massive goblin horde heading straight for the city. Adventurers from rank A to D are mobilized, and despite Takeru being technically bottom tier on paper, the guildmaster personally tells him to join the defense. On the battlefield, things go south really fast. Reports come in that goblins have broken through the human formation. Clay doesn't hesitate and rushes in to help, despite the fact that he's dealing with a horrible back injury. Takeru follows suit because obviously he's not letting his friend get wrecked. With bees zapping enemies left and right, goblins start dropping like they touched the wrong power outlet. When Clay's injury slows him down, Takeru steps in and uses his healing magic, not just patching him up, but completely healing old scars. And then, something incredible happens. During the healing process, Clay suddenly transforms into a dragon newt, a scarier, stronger, glow-up version of himself, and proceeds to absolutely bulldoze the remaining goblins. After the battle, Clay thanks Takeru and squints at him suspiciously because, yeah, no normal healer does that. Feeling cornered, Takeru finally admits the truth, that he died and was reincarnated into this world. Clay is understandably shook. This is probably the first time I've ever seen an Isekai MC admit that they're an Isekai character. Anyway, the episode wraps up with Takeru and Bee bumping into a mysterious mouse lady. Yeah, in this series, there are a lot of animal-human hybrids, so expect to see more often. The next episode picks up right where we left off. Takeru immediately asks the mouse lady, who introduces herself as Ribble, where he can get a really good pair of scissors. And no, this isn't a joke. For a material gatherer like Takeru, scissors are basically a legendary weapon, like a sword is to a warrior. Ribble knows just the place and takes him to a famous blacksmith who forges gear using a rare material called Ildra ore. There's just one problem though. To make those god-tier scissors, the blacksmith needs more of this Ildra ore, and the only place to get it is the Ryuhai Mine, a nightmare dungeon rumored to be crawling with demons and monsters. Oh, and it's located in the Dwarven Kingdom, aka a kingdom of dwarves, which also happens to be the blacksmith's homeland. On the way to the Dwarven Kingdom, Takeru runs into Miss Elf again, and this time she's not just hungry, she's starving. Takeru feeds her and once again points out that she really smells, but then actually fixes the problem this time. He uses magic to give her a full-on mystical bath. She's so grateful that she offers to travel with him and help him as a form of repayment. Turns out, she's no joke either. At one point, she casually slices an entire log of wood into pieces in one swing. She also finally introduces herself as Brolight. Later, during dinner, Brolight explains that she's searching for the White Pegasus of Heaven, an item her sister desperately wants. The mood gets a little heavy, but we still don't know what the Pegasus actually does. Takeru then changes topic and asks Brolight to be his bodyguard, and she accepts without hesitation. The next day, they run into Clay, who just happens to be heading to the Dwarven Kingdom as well. He joins the party and offers to protect Takeru too, because apparently this is now a traveling bodyguard convention. When they reach the kingdom, it turns out Clay is a full-blown national hero thanks to a past run-in with a demon lord who once terrorized the dwarves. After meeting the king, the group is officially given permission to enter the Ryuhai Mine. Inside the mine, they're assigned an escort to guide them through the danger. They clear out giant insect monsters, and then Takeru casually blows part of the mine open with magic, revealing a stash of crystallized Ildra ore. Mission almost complete, until the legendary demon rumored to haunt the mine finally shows up. It looks like a giant crab demon. Instead of panicking, Takeru and Bee get excited, not because it's dangerous, but because it looks really delicious.
My precious. Mouth-watering.
Dinner has officially arrived, according to these two maniacs. In the next episode, Takeru and Bee jump the demon crab together and absolutely cook it. Clay watches the fight and isn't exactly impressed. He tells Takeru that relying only on himself isn't a good habit and that he should start trusting his allies more, especially the bodyguards fighting alongside him. You know what? Fair enough. The group returns to the Dwarf King's palace and presents the defeated demon. The king is thoroughly impressed and rewards Takeru with 3 million rave. He also grants Brolight what she's been searching for all along, the Pegasus of Heaven, which turns out to be a real flying horse. With her wish fulfilled, Brolight says her goodbyes and promises that they'll meet again before flying off into the sky. I wish I had one of those. Afterward, Takeru, Bee, and Clay head back to Belkheim and deliver the Ildra ore to the blacksmith. Both the blacksmith and Ribble are stunned by the amount and quality of the rare material Takeru managed to collect. Then, at the Adventurers Guild, Takeru and Clay officially form a party and name it the Azure Black Brigade. Soon after, they receive an invitation from the Lord of the Luslavok territory, which Belkheim is part of. When they arrive at the Lord's mansion, they are greeted by his daughter Tiaris, who immediately shows interest in Bee and tries to claim him.
That dragon child belongs to me now, so hand it over.
Takeru calmly but firmly refuses, explaining that Bee is like family, not a possession. Tiaris realizes she messed up and apologizes, and that's when her father steps in. The Lord, Belmanot Luslavok, then explains the real reason for their invitation. His wife, Mulitaria, is gravely ill, and he has heard rumors of Takeru's powerful healing magic. When Takeru examines her with a scanning spell, he discovers that she is suffering from multiple illnesses, including poor vision and a rare condition known as Eva poisoning. It's also revealed that the reason Tiaris wanted a baby dragon was to give it to her mother so she wouldn't be lonely while Tiaris is away at school. Understanding the situation, Takeru agrees to help and asks the Lord to trust him as he prepares to treat Mulitaria's condition. In the next episode, Takeru uses a spell to restore Mulitaria's vision. He then tells Belmanont that he suspects that a member of his staff has been poisoning his wife, and to heal her, they have to get the toxin from the Eva flower in a distant place called Ashurth. But before they leave to find it, Takeru puts a spell around the mansion that would trigger an alarm if someone tried to hurt Mulitaria. Smart move! The crew travels all the way to Ashurth, a very poor village with little to no water. The indigenes tell Takeru about their plight, particularly the lake and the well in the village that were now poisoned. The village chief explains to Takeru that at some point, a merchant named Angash showed up promising to help them. The only thing the merchant asked for in return was a shiny golden flower that grows near the lake. And surprise, surprise, it's the very same Eva flower that our crew is looking for. Even though this flower was the village's top secret, they agreed to hand over one flower every month to the merchant, and in exchange, the merchant would deliver 60 barrels of fresh water to the village. But sadly, the water wouldn't be enough to sustain the crops of the villagers. Takeru starts to suspect that this Angash fellow was responsible for the village water going bad in the first place. In the meantime, he tells Bee to fly up into the sky and cause the rain to fall, which the baby dragon does.
Okay, I think that's good enough, Bee!
Takeru then uses magic to cleanse the villagers of dirt. He also prepared a massive meal for everyone. As a thank you, the villagers agree to show him this special golden flower. Back at the mansion, the magic alarm has been triggered. Tiaris runs to her mother's room and finds the butler, Bernard, at the door. So she panics, accusing him of trying to hurt her mom, but Bernard defends himself, smearing Takeru as a con man who wants to take advantage of the family, which is not exactly a hot take, to be honest. To find out the truth, Belmanont then tells Bernard to drink from the special water he's been giving to his wife. Bernard flinches, and Belmanont tosses the water on Bernard's face, causing him to freak out and say he's been poisoned. But this was all a trick, because the water Belmanont threw at him was actually normal water. With nowhere else to run, Bernard is arrested and taken away. Back at the village, Ngosh has arrived earlier than scheduled to collect the flowers, but the first guy he meets informs him that the village chief has gone to escort some adventurers to have a look around. The villager also informs him that they recently learned that the flower is poisonous, so they can't really hand out that stuff anymore. But it seems Ngosh has other plans, as he calls his thugs to help him finish his business ASAP. The episode ends with the village chief showing Takeru and Clay the golden flowers which grow in a hidden location. Episode 8 opens with bad news. A villager rushes to the village chief and tells him that Ngosh has launched an attack on the village. When Takeru and the others hurry back, they find the entire place in flames. Takeru and Bee immediately work together to put out the fire, but once the chaos settles, they discover that a young boy named Gonza has been kidnapped by Ngosh's men. Using his magic, Takeru tracks the kidnappers to their hideout. When the group arrives, they finally learn Ngosh's true motive. Everything he did was for profit. His plan was to poison Lord Belmonant's wife with Eva poison, then let the world believe that the illness was incurable, and then sell the poison at an inflated price once panic spread. To stop him, Clay transforms into his powerful dragon newt form and charges into battle, while Takeru and Bee focus on rescuing Gonza. Ngosh, realizing he is losing this ambush, orders his men to release a dangerous monster known as the Lake Demon. The creature proves incredibly strong, and even Takeru's magic struggles to hold it back. During the fight, Takeru is struck by the demon's tentacles and thrown off a building toward the poisoned lake below. At the last moment, he throws Gonza to Bee to save him before falling into the lake himself. As Takeru sinks into the toxic water, memories of his life in this world flash through his mind. Suddenly, he's pulled to safety by a winged horse. The creature reveals herself to be Holvalpnir, a deity who once ruled over the lake and the nearby region. The pollution had weakened her powers, but Takeru's fall into the lake purified it somehow, restoring her strength. Afterward, Takeru safely returns Gonza to the village and obtains the Eva flower. The group teleports back to Belmonant's mansion, where Mulitaria drinks the antidote and is fully cured of her illness. Not long after, Hovalpnir appears again, this time in a human-like form. Amused by Takeru and grateful for what he did, she decides to travel with him, even offering to carry him whenever he wishes as his divine flying steed. For Takeru, riding on the back of a goddess was definitely not on his bingo card. In the next episode, Takeru levels up in a big way. He's given a brand new special rank called FB rank, which basically means he can take jobs from beginner F rank all the way up to B rank. In short, the system finally admits that this guy is built different. Not long after, the Azure Black Brigade reunites with Brolite, who's now an A rank adventurer just like Clay. She's stronger, cooler, and unfortunately stressed out. She has a serious problem and needs Takeru's help. Her older sister, Lutakara, has gone missing. Turns out, Lutakara was supposed to marry an elf chosen by their clan and bear a child, something elves see as a huge honor. However, Lutakara was not having it. She didn't want to marry someone she didn't love, so she threw a fit and demanded a white Pegasus as a condition for the marriage. Brolite left to find one, but when she finally came back, her sister had already run away. After hearing her story, Takeru hesitates. Tracking down someone who clearly wanted freedom feels wrong.
Yeah, but your sister left because she didn't want to marry that guy, right? So maybe it's not such a good idea to bring her back?
but Brolight quickly clears things up. She doesn't want to drag her sister back or force her into anything. She just wants answers. Why Lutakara left without saying a single word for her? That's enough for Takeru, so he agrees to help. Out in the forest, Brolight opens a magical portal that leads straight to the elven homeland. Before they step through, their goddess party member, now officially nicknamed Puni, pulls Takeru aside and gives him a warning. Brolight may look cheerful and kind, but she's hiding something. In other words, don't let your guard down. The team enters the elven homeland and almost immediately gets jumped. A group of hostile elves attack them, making it painfully clear that Brolight is not welcome back home. And just like that, the reunion trip turns into an ambush. In episode 10, we continue from where we left off. The elves refuse to let Brolight pass, even after she explains that she and her friends are here to help search for her missing sister. The situation quickly turns hostile, with the elves hurling insults her way. Puni loses her patience and zaps them with lightning, instantly shutting things down. Realizing they've gone too far, the elves apologize and finally calm down.
Oh, sacred God, please accept my sincerest apologies.
I didn't realize that the elves had fallen so low that they can no longer recognize my power.
Takeru introduces himself and the Azure Black Brigade, making it clear that Brolight is one of their members. With that, the group is allowed to enter the elven village. They head towards the Great Tree Goen, the massive tree that also serves as the palace of the High Elves. Along the way, Brolight reveals an important truth she had kept to herself. She is a High Elf, which means she's part of the royalty, and High Elves are forbidden from leaving the village. She broke this rule to search for her sister. Takeru reassures her, telling her that following her heart matters more than rigid traditions. At the palace, Brolight introduces the group to her royal family. The High Elves believe their bloodline is cursed, which they think explains the many problems plaguing them: poor health, frequent infant deaths, and strange physical traits. These include Brolight's older brother being unusually short, and Brolight herself having the ability to switch between male and female. During this stay, Takeru pieces together the real cause of their suffering. When Brolight mentions that some high elf married her own twin brother, it becomes clear that generations of inbreeding and isolation have damaged the high elf's lineage. Their problems are not the result of a curse, but of a long-standing biological consequence.
Their bloodline has become too homogeneous. Their reverence of noble blood has led to generations of intermarriage that eventually broke their genetic structure.
Or as some would call it, Sweet Home Alabama. Realizing the truth, Brolight decides she needs to speak with her parents about it. Puni then suggests their next move, searching not only for Lutakara, but also for Libelania, the goddess that's supposed to protect the elves. With that, the group prepares to move forward, now facing a problem far bigger than they first expected. In the next episode, the Azure Black Brigade finally kicks off their investigation. Their first stop is the only adventurers guild in the entire elven territory. While scanning the quest board, one job immediately grabs Takeru's attention, gathering something called cat ear fungus. Yes, it sounds adorable. No, definitely not safe. The guild receptionist explains that this mushroom only grows deep inside Kito Hollow, a cave so flooded with unstable mana or magic that adventurers stopped going there a long time ago. That alone is suspicious enough, so the crew decides this creepy cave might be more than just a bad farming spot. If an elven god is missing, a mana-soaked death cave feels like a solid place to start looking. Inside Kito Hollow, things immediately go south. The group is attacked by a parade of nasty monsters that clearly didn't get the memo that this group of adventurers is OP as hell. After smashing their way through, Takeru steps in and casually fixes the mana problem. Once the cave finally settles down, Puni suddenly perks up. She can feel it. Something powerful is nearby, and not just anything. The presence she senses belongs to an elven goddess. In the final episode, the crew follows Puni's divine GPS through the forest until it leads them straight to an elven settlement. And surprise, Lutakara is there. She and Brolite reunite at last for about 5 seconds. Then it instantly turns into a full-on sibling brawl, complete with punches, shouting, and years of bottled-up drama finally exploding. Classic family reunion. Later that night at dinner, we discover that Lutakara has a baby, and not just any baby, a healthy one. In a society where sickly children and early deaths are the norm, this is a huge deal. The next morning, Takeru and the others resume their hunt for the missing elven goddess, and when they finally find her, or him, it's awkward. Libalania is just chilling in the forest, smiling like she didn't ghost an entire race for years. Puni immediately calls her out, and the two deities start throwing sarcastic jabs like divorced co-workers at a company meeting.
Will someone please help me out here? I'm not seeing anything.
Okay, Puni and Liveralina, just calm down.
I'm not the one who started this.
Eventually, everyone heads back to the Elven Palace, including Lutakara. The elders immediately start scolding her for having a child outside the High Elf bloodline. Lutakara fires back, pointing out the obvious. Marrying outside is exactly why her baby is healthy. Before the argument can spiral, Libalania herself shows up and calms the situation. She tells the elders the hard truth. The elves won't survive unless they stop isolating themselves and start embracing other cultures. With the issue finally settled, Takeru and the Azure Black Brigade say their goodbyes to Brolite and head back to Belkheim. Takeru picks up the scissors he ordered from the blacksmith, and the group starts talking about their next big destination, the ocean. But just when it seems like they're parting ways, Brolite shows up again. Turns out her people had told her to stop hiding in the elven homeland and go see the world with her friends. And just like that, the party is back together, ready for their next adventure. And that's the end of the recap. It's not the most action-heavy story out there, but it's still pretty darn enjoyable. Anyway, feel free to click on the screen to watch another one of my videos, and in the meantime, peace!